Yes, Sparrow is very cute, Jillian. We're going to read the Polar Express. Hello, Julia. All right. Fell on the eggs, not fell on eggs. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound a friend had told me I'd never hear. The ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. There is no Santa, my friend had insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Late that night, I did hear sounds, though not of ringing bells. From outside came the sounds of hissing steam and squeaking metal. I looked through my window and saw a train standing perfectly still in front of my house. And of course, you know, the illustrations here are probably the best. Well, looks like Lost Girl has a phone call. Just tell them no, you do not need an extended car warranty. It was wrapped in an apron of steam. Snowflakes fell lightly around it. A conductor stood at the open door of one of the cars. He took a large pocket watch from his vest, then looked up at my window. I put on slippers and a robe. I tiptoed downstairs and out the door. All aboard! The conductor cried out. I ran up to him. Well, he said, are you coming? Where? I asked. Why, to the North Pole, of course, was his answer. This is the Polar Express. I took his outstretched hand and he pulled me on board. Hello, Norma. The train was filled with other children, all in their pajamas and nightgowns. We sang Christmas carols and ate candies with nougat centers as white as snow. We drank hot cocoa as thick and rich as melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of towns and villages flickered in the distance as the Polar Express raced northward. Soon, there were no more lights to be seen. We traveled through cold, dark forests, where lean wolves roamed and white-tailed rabbits hid from our train as it thundered through the quiet wilderness. I have a guest up here now. I should have known. That's a great picture. I love that picture. Candy, are you supposed to be up here? There's no beds up here, Candy. Hello, Craig. We climbed the mountain so high, it seemed as if we would scrape the moon. But the Polar Express never slowed down. Faster and faster we ran along, rolling over peaks and through valleys like a car on a roller coaster. And this, look at this picture. You could just, you know, look at that train up on the mountain. It's a great, great visual. The mountains turned into hills. The hills to snow-covered plains. We crossed a barren desert of ice, the great polar ice cap. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strange ocean liner sailing on a frozen sea. There, said the conductor, there is the North Pole. The North Pole. It was a huge city standing alone at the top of the world, filled with factories where every Christmas toy was made. At first, we saw no elves. They are gathering at the center of the city, the conductor told us. That is where Santa will give the first gift of Christmas. Who receives the first gift, we all asked. The conductor said, he will choose one of you. Look, shouted one of the children, the elves. Outside we saw hundreds of elves. As our train drew closer to the center of the North Pole, we slowed to a crawl. So crowded were the streets with Santa's helpers. When the Polar Express could go no further, we stopped, and the conductor led us outside. We pressed through the crowd to the edge of a large open circle. In front of us stood Santa's sleigh. The reindeer were excited. They pranced and paced, ringing the silver sleigh bells that hung from their harnesses. It was a magical sound, like nothing I'd ever heard. Across the circle, the elves moved apart, and Santa Claus appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us and, pointing at me, said, let's have that fellow here. He jumped into his sleigh. The conductor handed me up. I sat on Santa's knee, and he asked, now, what would you like for Christmas? We are Santa's elves. Oh, sorry. We are Santa's elves. I knew that I could have any gift I could imagine. But the thing I wanted most for Christmas was not inside Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was one silver bell from Santa's sleigh. When I asked, Santa smiled. Then he gave me a hug and told an elf to cut a bell from a reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it up to Santa. He stood holding the bell high above him and called out, the first gift of Christmas! I have friends up here. A clock struck midnight as the elves roared their approval. Santa handed the bell to me, and I put it in my bathrobe pocket. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh. Santa shouted out the reindeers' names and cracked his whip. His teams charged forward and climbed into the air. Santa circled once above us, then disappeared in the cold, dark polar sky. As soon as we were back inside the Polar Express, the other children asked to see the bell. I reached into my pocket, but the only thing I felt was a hole. Hello, London girl. I had lost the silver bell from Santa Claus's sleigh. Let's hurry outside and look for it, one of the children said. But the train gave a sudden lurch and started moving. We were on our way home. It broke my heart to lose the bell. When the train reached my house, I sadly left the other children. I stood at my doorway and waved goodbye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear him. What? I yelled out. He cupped his hands around his mouth. Merry Christmas! He shouted. The Polar Express let out a loud blast from its whistle and sped away. Yeah, it must stink with your house being right on the train tracks, just to let you know. This is the London girl. This is the first story. It's the Polar Express. On Christmas morning, my little sister and I opened our presents. When it looked as if everything had been unwrapped, Sarah found one last small box behind the tree. It had my name on it. Inside was the silver bell. There was a note. Found this on the seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket. Signed, Mr. C. I shook the bell. It made the most beautiful sound my sister and I had ever heard. But my mother said, "Oh, that's too bad." "Yes," said my father, "it's broken." When I'd shaken the bell, my parents had not heard a sound. At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell. But as years passed, it fell silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me, as it does for all who truly believe. Yes, this is just, and all of his books are great. I mean, Jumanji, they're all just have this beautiful, so that is the Polar Express. You know, obviously not as long as the movie. The next book we're going to read, and we've read Oscar and Emmy books here quite a bit. And Oscar and Emmy, they live in Houston, Texas, so we have some Texas folks on here. So you can hear all about Oscar and Emmy or see them on Facebook. So this is called Oscar and Emmy's First Christmas. It's Christmas Eve, and kittens Oscar and Emmy are spending their first Christmas in their forever home with the family who had just adopted them. "I'm so glad we found 2 more stockings for Oscar and Emmy," Charlie says. His twin, Abby, says, "And I like that we added their names, since they are a part of our family now. This will be the best Christmas ever." So, Lost Girl, did you get an extended car warranty? Suddenly, the doorbell rings, and the startled kittens scurry to hide. "No need to be scaredy cats, it's just our neighbor, Ms. Andrea," Charlie says. "Merry Christmas," exclaims Ms. Andrea. "I'm dropping off a gift for Oscar and Emmy." "Thank you for thinking of our kitties," Abby says. Notice that one of the kitties is down by her legs. Dad places Oscar and Emmy's gift under the half-decorated tree. Mom, can we add the special Santa ornament you picked up from the mall? Abby asks. I can't wait to see how the kitten's photo with Santa turns out, Charlie says. Oop, there we go. Here's a perfect spot for Oscar and Emmy's ornament. Thank you, Julia. Oscar watches as Abby plugs a fancy ornament into one of the Christmas tree lights. It glows. And look, you can see Oscar and Abby. One of them is in the light box, and the other is under the tree. That reminds me, after this book, I got to show you one of the cats that we fostered. Is under a Christmas tree, and it's just the most adorable picture. So I'll talk about that at the end of the book. Later, as the family is eating dinner, Oscar and Emmy curiously examine the sparkling tree. And look, they're running into the room with the tree. Oscar is determined to get a closer look at that glowing ornament. He climbs up the trunk first, with Emmy right behind him. A few feet off the ground, the kittens walk to the end of a branch and poke their heads out like ornaments. Now, no cats would ever do this, would they? Oscar climbs the tree trunk straight to the star on top. Emmy is close behind. With the kittens so far from the ground, they begin to shiver and shake. The tree rocks back and forth. You know, this happened to us when we were at our house. I don't remember who it was that basically took down our whole tree. The family hears a crash from the other room. Charlie looks up from his plate. What was that? Hello, Tina. Dad grabs Oscar and Emmy from the treetop and gives them a hug while Mom and the twins take care of the tree. That was a close call, but Oscar and Emmy are okay. A knock on the door brings familiar Christmas carolers. Abby and Charlie are excited to see their cousin amongst the choir. The carolers invite the family to sing along. Even the kittens join in. No, I'm not going to count. You know what? Hold on for 1 second. Because it's going to start alarming. And let me just snooze. You know what? It is just about 8 o'clock. I'm going to turn off the alarms. All sensor alerts for 12 hours. There. Thank you. Thank you, Tina. Yes, these books have great illustrations. All right. Back inside, Abby tells Charlie, it's almost Christmas. We should wrap our gift for Mom and Dad. They're going to love this framed family photo. Uh-oh. Charlie watches as Oscar and Emmy start playing with the wrapping paper. Abby and Charlie manage to keep them away long enough to get their gift wrapped. Abby places the gift under the tree, and they join their parents in the other room. Left alone to explore, Oscar and Emmy take special interest in the gifts. Look at this. Is this like the cat picture? This is cats to a T. Look, the cat's in the bag. The cat's playing with the bow. Typical cats. It's been a busy day, but Charlie reminds Abby, we can't forget to put out milk and cookies for Santa. And carrots for his reindeer, Abby adds. Time for bed, everyone, Dad calls out. You know who can't visit us if we're still awake. Did you notice that both Oscar and Emmy are in the bed? Awakened by a noise, the kittens look around and spot the familiar red suit from the mall. Well, hello! You must be the reason my milk cup is empty. Ho, ho, ho! Santa winks as he fills the last stocking. Meowie Christmas! On Christmas morning, Mom and Dad picked the perfect spot for the framed family photo. Abby and Charlie enjoy their new toys, while Oscar and Emmy play with the wrapping paper. Oscar and Emmy's first Christmas with their new family has been perfect. So that is Oscar and Emmy. And I wanted to show you a picture, which I love this picture. Gallery. I have like 700 pictures on my phone, and about 600 are cats. You know, I probably should. Jenny, did you hear that I ordered the popcorn book? So I'm going to read the popcorn book. Yes, I'm going to read the popcorn book next week, as long as it comes. It's supposed to come in the mail by Tuesday. All right. I got to tell you the story about this picture, so that's why I'm looking for it. Oh, there's a couple of FFRC cats. There's a couple more FFRC cats. Ah, here it is. Oh, I love this picture. All right. That's Barbara under the lights. Barbara was named after Bonnie's sister Barbara, who actually is going through a tough time right now. She's got some memory issues. But Barbara, you guys might remember Barbara's brother. Barbara's brother was Dune. So Barbara was one of the cats, one of the 5 kittens that Mommy Coral had. So isn't that a beautiful picture? Like the cat just in wonderment under the Christmas tree. I love that picture. I just love it. I think I actually have this picture in here twice, because she just has such a sense of wonder in it. She was very tiny. See, let me, so I wanted to show you that picture, because, you know, that was actually the last bunch of kittens that we fostered. Yes, Dune was awesome, but that was Barbara, Dune's sister. Those 5 cats, is Barbara also? No, Barbara is not CH. Out of those 5, only Dune was CH. But Dune really didn't slow him down one little bit. So, all right, we are going to read, and I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. There is a Christmas story in Cattails. This is Cindy's book, Cattails from the Friends of Feline Rescue Center. And there is a Christmas story in here called Ffrc Christmas Party. All right. So that is what we're going to read. Christmas time is here again. The stores are filled with Christmas decorations and playing Christmas music. This year at Ffrc, the residents are having a Christmas party, and everyone is invited. It is going to be the event of the season. There will be lots of food, lights, decorations, music, and of course lots of gifts. Today, the residents are writing a letter to Santa because they want him to come to the party. After all, what is a Christmas party without Santa? It was a cold day and there were flurries in the air, just like today. It was the perfect day to plan a Christmas party, and the residents of Ffrc decided to do just that. But first, they needed to write a letter to Santa to invite him to the party. The gang gathered in the main area one morning to help. Derecho grabbed a pen and paper and said, "It's time to write a letter to Santa. So everyone put your thinking caps on and let's get started. Dear Santa, how are you? This is your good buddies Derecho and the gang from Ffrc. We are writing to let you know that this year we are having a big Christmas party, and we want you to come. It wouldn't be a Christmas party without you, Santa. Bring your appetite because there will be plenty of yummy goodies to eat. The party will be on December 23rd here at Ffrc. Come early and stay late. See you then. Love, Derecho and the gang." Hello, Jabberwocky's mom. "Well, guys, how does that sound?" asked Derecho. "I think it sounds pretty good," says Vernon. "It's right up there with Dr. Seuss, D-Man." "Ha, ha, very funny, Vern." Everyone laughed at his joke. "Keep it up and Santa will put you on the naughty list," said Derecho. "It is now time to plan this festive occasion. We can't have a party without food, so we need to come up with a menu so that we can let Mama Jackie know what we are having, and then we could start decorating." Corley suggested the famous KFC, also known as Kickin' Flippin' Chicken. Kickin' Flippin' Chicken, yeah. I thought it stood for something different. Spiker requested an anchovy and sardine pizza, while Vernon and Canby wanted something Mexican. Mama Jackie liked the Thursday night special, so they wanted to see what the fuss was all about. The appetizers would be Pania flake nachos, for of course Pania. Seafood pate egg rolls for Kiara, and snackers for Derecho, just to keep it more in line with their diet. Oh! And Ramsey requested shrimp bisque because it reminded him of Little Soups. "Does anyone else have anything to add to the menu?" asked Derecho. "I do," said Hensley, and he suggested pigs in a blanket. "Those are mini sausages wrapped in croissant dough, and Elma, Lucy, and Marilyn wanted eggnog and hot chocolate with lots of whipped cream." We have to be careful not to spike the eggnog, said Marilyn, because it puts Vern in a romantic mood. Oh, God. Derecho wrote down all the foods the gang requested. These are great choices for the menu, he said. I will give it to Mama Jackie right away. Derecho took the list and went to Mama Jackie's office. He handed it to her and said, well, after talking, this is what we came up with for food for the Christmas party. Yeah. She took a look at the list and said, oh my, Derecho, you picked quite a selection of yummy food. We want to make sure we have enough because we invited Santa to the party, he said. Well, that was sweet of you, Derecho, she said. Mama Jackie knew she had to think quickly about finding a Santa for the party. After much thought, one of the volunteers suggested that Papa Steve be Santa. What a great idea. We could get him a Santa suit and a big sack for the gifts, said Mama Jackie. We have to keep it a secret. Nobody can know that he will be jolly old Saint Nick. Later that morning, one of the volunteers found the letter Derecho wrote to Santa in the outgoing mail. So she immediately gave it to Mama Jackie. Shortly after, Derecho asked that the letter he wrote made it to the post office. I have it, she told him. I would take it there myself, she said. We have to make sure Santa gets it in time for the party, said Derecho. Don't worry, she said. I have to run an errand, so I will drop it at the post office this weekend. Thank you, Mama, said Derecho. Listen, he headed back to the main area and gathered everyone. Listen up, guys. It's time for the decorations. I will ask the volunteers to take them out, and then we can all help put them up. This place is going to light up. It will be so bright, Santa will see it from the North Pole. Derecho went over to one of the volunteers and got her attention. When she bent down to pet him, he asked her, in that sweet little Derecho way, to gather all the Christmas decorations for them. How could she resist, of course? I will get them for you. After their morning snack, the volunteers bought all the boxes they could find, including the upside-down Christmas tree. Wow! Look at all those decorations, the gang said. This place is going to shine like the North Star. Dig in, everybody, said Derecho, and put decorations everywhere in the rescue center. Magic started by grabbing a string of lights and heading over to Mama Jackie's desk. He wrapped them all around and plugged them all in. The desk literally lit up like a Christmas tree. Yes, Derecho is very polite. He loved it so much he decided to wrap her chair in lights too. Magic headed out front and grabbed another string of lights, probably after he played with my shoes, just to let you know. He wrapped them all around Mama Jackie's chair and plugged them in. Whoa! His eyes grew big. She's going to shine like the angel she is. Magic went back to help the others and came across Ramsey, who was wrapping the new couch they got in lights. He just laughed and asked, "Need a little help, Rambo?" Ramsey got all excited and said, "Yeah, I keep getting my feet tangled." Magic wondered if he was trying to decorate the couch for himself. Coralie, Alma, and Marilyn put candles in every window, while Lucy, Pania, and Kiara lined the doorways with holly. Meanwhile, Derecho, Spiker, and Hensley were trying to put up the upside-down Christmas tree. Vernon must have been in the mood as he was trying to hang mistletoe all around the main area. I bet he was looking for cuddle time with his girl Marilyn. Everyone was busy doing their part and having fun, when suddenly music started playing. One of the volunteers said, "You need Christmas music to put you in the spirit." Good idea, they said. The gang was singing along as the look of Christmas filled FFRC. Everyone laughed and smiled while watching Ramsey lay on his couch. Well, it should be laying in his car now, right? Singing "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree." Lucy suggested they put elf shoes on him so he could be one of Santa's little helpers, while Vernon said, let's put reindeer antlers on him. Then he can fly Santa's sleigh. Ramsey was such a good sport about it. I think he just loved the attention. The gang continued hanging decorations all over. Spiker hung Christmas bells on the door. Hey, wait a minute. Magic, you're supposed to be going out and getting a Christmas tree. Huh? He said, all right, I'm going now. I'm hurrying. The gang continued hanging decorations all over. Spiker hung Christmas bells on the door going to Mama Jackie's house, while Walter decorated the kitty cabana room. He lined the windows with lights and put some stuffed animals that sang and danced on the floor. One was a snowman, and when you pressed its foot, it played Frosty the Snowman and shook his booty. The other was the chicken. It played the chicken dance. Not exactly Christmas, but what the heck? Walter remembered the time Ramsey literally danced to it. His little head bobbed around in sync with the music. Everybody was amazed at how he kept the beat as the chicken danced across the floor. That little guy sure has rhythm. Walter then hung all the Christmas stockings. Some went into the cabana room, some in the main area, and some others were put in Patty's place in Thumper's room. How old is Derecho? Derecho's got to be close to 10 years old now, Anna, because let's see, he got here when he was 2 months old, maybe, or 1 month old. So my thinking is got to be close to. D-Man is sleeping. He's in one of the Coranda towers, right over here. After a couple hours, FFRC was ready for a Christmas celebration. The only thing left to do now was get Papa Steve to play Santa. While Mama Jackie was out doing an errand, she stopped in town looking to rent a Santa suit. Unfortunately, she was not having any luck because the few places that carried them already had them rented. Actually, Derecho is right down here. He's in this cabana, this Coranda Tower. Hi! Hello, Marilyn! See, Marilyn's up here, and Derecho is down sleeping at the very bottom. Alright. Mama Jackie was panicked. What would she do? The party was soon, and the residents were expecting Santa to show. Later that afternoon, as she updated the blog on the website, she mentioned about the upcoming party and the dilemma she had about a Santa suit. I guess it just made her feel better getting it off her chest, but what happened next was truly the Christmas spirit, and it showed her just amazing the people who support FFRC. The next morning, Mama Jackie did her usual office work, and as she read her email, something extraordinary happened. She started receiving emails about helping her with the Santa suit dilemma. Supporters from all over the world who read her blog felt compelled to give FFRC the Christmas they deserve and offered their help. Mama Jackie was overwhelmed with joy. And Steve? Well, he would get to be Santa after all. I think deep down he loved the idea of being jolly old St. Nick, and none of the residents would know it was him. One email said there would be a delivery later that afternoon of a 7-foot Christmas tree just for the Christmas event. Shortly after, boxes started pouring in and gifts for the residents and the volunteers. Everything from toys and blankets to snackers and beds for the residents to baked goods and sweatshirts for the volunteers. Wow! These would go under the Christmas trees. Later that evening, a special delivery package came for Mama Jackie. She opened it, and inside was a Santa suit for Papa Steve. Unfortunately, she had no idea who sent it. Hello, Sue. All it said was Merry Christmas from Anonymous. P.S. Tell Derecho I received his letter and I will see him at the party. Mama Jackie was surprised by that note. After all, she never mailed the letter. She was baffled, but she was so excited by the Santa suit that she had Steve try it on. It was perfect! Well, almost. All she needed to do was stuff the front a bit to make him look more like Santa. She told him to practice his ho-ho-hos because he's going to be the man of the evening. The next day, Mama Jackie was telling the volunteers about the Santa suit that showed up the night before and about the mysterious note with it. She asked if any of them knew who sent it, but they just shrugged their shoulders. Did one of you accidentally mail the letter Derecho wrote? No, they said. Why do you ask? Mama Jackie said, I didn't mail it because Papa Steve is going to play Santa. The funny part is the note said, tell Derecho I received his letter and I will see him at the party. They all looked at each other, surprised, and asked, where is that letter? Mama Jackie replied, it's in my truck. I didn't want Derecho to know I didn't mail it. Later that afternoon, she went out to her truck to check for the letter, and it was gone. Who could have taken it, she thought. After the volunteers left for the evening, Derecho and Magic sat and talked at Mama Jackie's desk. They discussed the party and how much fun it was going to be with Santa there. We should do something special for Mama Jackie, said Magic. Derecho agreed. But what could they do for her? It had to be something that showed her how much they loved her and appreciated her. After all, Christmas is about giving, and she has always gave them everything they needed. I know, said Magic. Let's get her something to remind her of us. Like what? Said Derecho. Said Magic. Yeah, like what? Said Derecho. I guess we could ask the volunteer for some ideas, said Magic. Good idea. We can ask them in the morning, said Derecho. They sat there admiring the lights for a while, and then they went to bed. The next morning, Derecho and Magic went up to one of the volunteers and asked what they could get Mama Jackie for a present. We want to get her something that reminds her of us and to show her how much we love and appreciate her. They said. At the moment, the volunteer had a great idea. I have the perfect gift for her, she said. Derecho and Magic's eyes grew wide with anticipation. Wow, what is it? They asked. The volunteer gave them a picture of it. That is awesome, said Derecho. Can you give one for us? They asked. Sure, she said. I will order it right away. They were so excited they got Mama Jackie's gift. And it was going to be from all of them. They could hardly wait to tell the others that a special gift was on the way. Later that afternoon, the gang gathered to discuss any last-minute details of the Christmas party. Derecho stood up and said, the rescue center looks amazing. Everybody did a wonderful job decorating. The lights are so bright and colorful, and the Christmas lights make it feel even more like Christmas. Does anyone have any last-minute suggestions before the party tomorrow night? He asked. I don't think so, they said. At the moment, Magic spoke up and said, now for a special announcement. A special gift has been ordered for Mama Jackie. What is it? They asked. He pulled out the picture the volunteer gave him. Here it is. He held it up for all to see. Whoa! They gasped. Kind of looks like all of us, said Canby. We wanted to get her something to remind her of all of us. Some past and some present, he said. It's perfect, they replied. Meanwhile, Mama Jackie had some last-minute preparations of her own to finish, such as ordering some of the food and wrapping gifts for the residents. Several of the volunteers were going to Mama Jackie's that night to help with the gift wrapping. Some of them brought gifts for their favorite residents. And let's be honest now, many of the volunteers do have a favorite. Papa Steve also needed to try the Santa suit on one more time to be sure everyone fit perfectly for his big debut. It was 6 p.m. and some of the volunteers arrived at Mama Jackie's house. They had a good time showing each other what they bought for the residents. They also told funny stories from the past while they wrapped the gifts and prepared some of the specials, the requested food for the party, like the seafood pate egg rolls and the pigs in the blanket. You can't get those at a restaurant. Mama Jackie suggested Papa Steve try on the Santa suit and give them a preview. He put the suit on and walked around saying, "Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!" in his deepest voice. He was going to be the perfect Santa. They took all of the wrapped presents and loaded them in a sack. All in all, I think they were ready for the party. Give me 1 second. When morning came, Derecho and Magic asked a volunteer if Mama Jackie's gift had arrived. The party was that night and they couldn't go without it. "No, not yet," she replied, "but it was due to arrive later that morning." "Good! We need to wrap it," said Magic. "I will bring it to you the minute it arrives," she says. A few hours passed and Derecho was getting nervous. What would they do if the gift didn't arrive? It was now 10 a.m. and the delivery truck finally showed up carrying Mama Jackie's Christmas gift. The volunteer took it from the driver and brought it straight to Derecho and Magic, who were anxiously awaiting its arrival. "Here it is," she said. Magic took the box from the volunteer and zoomed back in to wrap it. "Oh, thank you, London girl. I got enough gray in my beard and in my hair now." "Come on, D-Man, let's go," he shouted. They sat at her desk and rolled out the wrapping paper. Derecho held it while Magic cut it. Then he wrapped it around the box and carefully taped it. "Need more tape?" asked Derecho. No, I have enough." "There is plenty in her desk. We all know how much Mama loves tape," said Magic. After a few minutes, it was all wrapped in shiny gold paper and then topped with a big red bow. Because, in Derecho's mind, if you close your eyes, the gold is like an angel and the bow is like its wings. "Awesome job, Magic. It almost looks professional." While they cleaned up their mess, Derecho somehow got a piece of scotch tape stuck on the bottom of his foot. And, well, we all know what happens next. He danced around wildly trying to get it off. This is Cindy G's story. So Cindy G wrote this. I needed to. "Hang on, D-Man, I'll help you," said Magic. Derecho threw himself on the floor and stuck his feet up in Magic's face. He gently peeled the tape off his foot. "There you go, buddy. Let's go put that present under the tree." They wandered out front, saw the place was hopping. Music was playing, the Christmas lights were on, and soon the smell of yummy food would fill the air. They chuckled when they passed by Ramsey. He was laying on the couch with the light shining bright, his feet tapped into the music and his head going. You know how Ramsey is. Coralie and Alma were trying on their Santa hats, while Vernon was trying to get Marilyn under the mistletoe. She kept running away, saying, "It's too early for cuddle time, Vern." The volunteers started setting up the tables where the food and drinks would go. "Wow, this is going to be great," said Derecho. "I wonder what time Santa is coming," he thought. While last-minute preparations were underway, the gang decided to take a very short nap, since it was going to be a very late evening. With all the activity going on out in the main area, they decided to nap in another room where it was quiet. Shortly after, some of the food that was ordered started to arrive, like Spiker's anchovy and sardine pizza, and Carly's KFC. Of course, Mama Jackie, Papa Steve, and the volunteers would have some of their own favorite foods, too. A couple of hours passed by, and one by one the gang awoke, and Jillian had basketball practice, so she had to run. She enjoyed the stories. Mama Jackie, Papa Steve, and the volunteers would have some of their own favorite foods too. A couple of hours have passed, and one by one the gang awoke and stumbled out, all sleepy-faced and ready to partay. It was now 3 p.m., and FFRC started to fill with guests, many of which were the volunteers. Yeah, and that's kind of what I thought, Craig, because I was thinking it was late June, early July, and I think the derecho was, I don't even think derecho was 6 weeks old. Maybe about 5 or 6 weeks. So, yeah, so derecho will be turning 10 years old in the spring. So, I don't know if you guys remember, when I started watching, which was September 2012, Jackie still wouldn't let derecho sleep out here. He was he always, because she was worried that he would hit his head, something like that. It took her a long time before she trusted derecho enough to, to stay out here. And I can't even imagine him not out there anymore. They came dressed in Santa sweaters and reindeer antlers, with some wore Santa hats. One volunteer even had Christmas lights around her neck and jingle bells on her shoes. Oh, Magic loved that. It was turning out to be the best night ever. Some of the residents made their way over to greet everyone, while others were sneaking food off the table. Derecho noticed that the Christmas trees were loaded with gifts, but no sign of Santa. He whispered to Magic, "Have you seen Santa yet?" "No," Magic replied, "but it's still early." Few of the residents were checking out the Christmas trees. They were picking up the gifts and shaking them to see if they could figure out what they were. These were the gifts sent to FFRC supporters, from FFRC supporters. Carly picked up one gift and shook it. Then she sniffed it and said, "Smells like catnip." Lucy and Marilyn grabbed a package wrapped in pretty red and green paper and said, "This one feels like it has small round things in it." "Maybe it's bouncy balls." The center was filled with guests, and just then Mama Jackie and Papa Steve stepped forward to welcome everybody to the Christmas party. It was a great year for FFRC, and this was one way of showing their appreciation for all the hard work given by the volunteers and their families. Derecho eagerly looked around, waiting for Santa to arrive. When he looked towards the door, he noticed a gentleman standing there who just happened to look like Santa, watching them. The man walked over to Derecho and Magic and said, "Great party." They looked at him confused because they didn't know who he was. Magic said, "Has everyone ever told you you look just like Santa Claus?" The man laughed in that deep Santa way. "Oh, yes, I get that a lot. Let's just say that I am a friend of FFRC." "Thank you, Derecho, for inviting me to the party," he said, and then he winked. He walked away and quietly mingled among the guests. I think everyone just thought he was a guest. A little while later, the mysterious man left and watched from outside. Derecho went up to Mama Jackie and said, "Santa was just here. Did you see him?" "No, not yet," she told him. He is coming, and should be here shortly." That was Papa Steve's cue to disappear and to put his Santa suit on. He slipped through the door without anyone asking, or anyone seeing, and then made his entrance through the main area door. A few moments later, "Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!" he shouted, carrying a sack full of gifts. This story is not on The Cat and Nine Tails, because Rita wrote The Cat and Nine Tails. This is written by Cindy. All right. Everyone turned to look. "It's Santa," the resident shouted. "Has everyone been good girls and boys?" he asked. "Yes, we have," they replied. "Gather around, I have gifts for all," he said. The first gift went to Ramsey. It was a 3-tier orange ball racer. That was one of his favorites. He slapped the ball around like a crazy man. Next up was Hensley. He got a new fishing pole with feathers at the end of it. He loved when the volunteers waved it around. He would jump at it. While everyone was gathered around Santa, Magic and Derecho grabbed Mama Jackie's present from under the tree. The floor was, "We will give this to her after everyone is done opening presents," said Magic. The floor was littered with wrapping paper and bows from presents being torn open. Even the volunteers got in on the action. Everyone was having a great time, and none of the residents knew that Papa Steve was wearing the Santa hat. When the last present was opened, Magic and Derecho stepped forward. "Attention, please! Please, may I have your attention? Mama Jackie, please come forward!" Magic spoke up, saying, "Christmas is just one time a year that we should be thankful for, not what we receive, but what we are able to give. Words cannot express how grateful and thankful we, the residents, are for Mama Jackie. She helped each and every one of us through some difficult and traumatizing times. The love for her and the volunteers have done amazing and miraculous things for us. We've heard her say that sometimes she doesn't know how to say thank you enough, and that we truly understand that feeling. She always says, do something good for someone, and that feeling of goodness bounces back to you. We know it isn't much, but this gift is one way we show our love and appreciation for you. Oh, look, Magic is here listening to me. We hope it brings a smile and reminds you of all of us." Derecho handed Mama Jackie the box. She graciously took it and hugged and kissed them both. She opened it and smiled. It did remind her of all of them. She held it up and everyone smiled. It was so sweet of the residents to do. They had all gathered around her, drawing close. "Well," she said, "I don't know what to say. Thank you. Each and every one of you have brought great joy into my life. Oh gosh, it is my passion to love and care for every cat and kitten that comes through the doors of FFRC. Once again, I have become humbled from your kindness and generosity. I love you all." It doesn't say "oh gosh," I just added that because, you know Jackie would say "oh gosh," just to, because you know. As the night went on, Mama Jackie was talking with some of the volunteers. They couldn't believe how well Steve pulled off being Santa. Just then, Derecho went up to Mama Jackie and the volunteers and said, "Did you see Santa? He was here." "Yes, Derecho, we saw him." "How could we miss the guy in the red suit?" she replied. No, not him. The other guy. He came up to me and Magic during the party. Didn't you see him?" he asked. Mama Jackie just looked at him. "I don't understand, Derecho. What do you mean?" "Sure you do. He walked by everyone. He must have received our letter because he thanked us for inviting him. Mama Jackie just brushed it off as being Derecho's overactive imagination. He must be referring to one of the guests, since there were so many. Oh, you're welcome, Ms. M. Moments later, a couple of the other volunteers were talking to her, and they asked who the gentleman was hanging around the party. He didn't say much. He just wandered around and smiled. Then he left and watched from outside, they said. That must be who Derecho was talking about, she said. I guess we will never know who he was. Well, everybody, it turned out to be a fantastic evening. One FFRC will remember for years to come, said Mama Jackie. Suddenly, Spiker said, Hey, look over there. It looks like Vernon is at it again. They turned to look and saw he and Marilyn smooching under the mistletoe. He just doesn't give up, said Walter. Vernon looked around and said, From all of us at FFRC, we want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas. And that is how the cats, the residents, partied for Christmas. So that is just one of the stories in Cat Tales. And there's a few books like this that Cindy wrote for FFRC with the cats in here. So, well, I think that is going to be it for today. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate everybody joining in, and I hope everybody has a nice Christmas. And we will be back here again next week. I'm going to also start doing themes like maybe once every month. Thank you, Blue Heron. Thank you, everybody. And I got a couple themes lined up. One of the books, the person who I got the book from asked me not to read it quite yet. They're not ready because they're having a book release party, but it's going to be a fun one. So, and I'm going to give you a hint, Lost Girl. One of the themes is going to be Philadelphia. So, couple books are going to be related to Philadelphia. One of them is going to be from the Colony Cats, and it's going to be fun. But that's going to be not till January or February because I want to get her okay to do it. Thank you, Jabberwocky's mom. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful Christmas, and I hope everybody gets exactly what they want. Thanks again, everybody. Magic, did you enjoy hearing yourself? FIV, yep. We could talk about FIV at another time. But I had one of my fosters was FIV, and actually I learned a lot from that foster. I mean, he was a gentle soul. All right, guys. Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas, Shaz. Merry Christmas, Alma.